welcome to Dreamdust Expo 2022, where we make all your dreams come true, which is a lie. Welcome to our panel talk, Collaborators Unite. I want to thank our guests, CoCab, because CoCab is the only guest really. Everybody else here is on the admin team for for Dreamdust. So let's give a round of applause for CoCab and also for the rest of you guys. Woo! Okay, so let's start off with our intros. Joel, introduce yourself, please.
Hi everyone. So my name is Joel McFarlane, also known as I am Jojo on Instagram and Twitter. I am an illustrator, a motion graphic artist, currently working at the Summit Caribbean. Yeah, that's it for me.
CoCab, you next.
Yes, my name is Kokab Suguridosa, Kokab ZD or Kokab Renee on Instagram. Illustrator, artist, painter. Yeah, currently operating outside of Jamaica.
Okay. While being in Jamaica. Daniel.
Hi, my name is Daniel Parchment. I'm an illustrator, character designer, and children's book illustrator, and I'm a freelancer based in Jamaica.
Nathaniel, introduce yourself for the people.
I'm Nathaniel Hey. I'm a concept artist and animator based in Jamaica. I currently freelance.
And my name is Janelle. I'm a 2D character animator and storyboard artist, and I am also based in Jamaica. All of us here have worked with each other and like in various combinations and like multiple projects a lot over the past few years. Some of us for like 8-7 years we've been working together. Even longer, 15 years. Some of us have history. What do we think about our experiences with collaboration? Like, what do we think of collaboration? Why do we do it? Is it something that you want to keep doing or you want to stop doing moving forward in your career? Don't rush me. Just we can go one by one.
Well, with animation, collaboration is necessary at some point in time. I do enjoy working with a team personally, although I've been working solo for majority of my life. If you have a good team, it's great. If you have a bad team, it just causes more issues. But that's how I feel about collaboration in general.
Anyone else?
Yeah, pretty much collaboration. It can be a hit or miss, but when it's a hit, it's actually very superb. I feel like it's really a godsend, at least in my profession. It's nice to call Jenny or Natalia like 12 o'clock in the morning, like, I don't know what to do. Can you guys fix it? Saves me a lot of headache. And it's actually a very good opportunity to like learn from each other. There are things that as an illustrator might not pay attention to that you guys, CoCab, Daniel, Nathaniel, Janelle, will be able to pinpoint, and you can use it as teaching moments to learn and help each other. So definitely a plus in my book. But when it get bad, it get bad. Not gonna lie. Yeah.
Daniel, CoCab, what you guys think about collaboration? Like, why do you guys do it?
Generally, I wouldn't say I enjoy collaborating, funny enough. I think the most times I do enjoy collaborating are on other people's projects. So I enjoy working with letting other people, like, helping other people bring their ideas to life. I think I enjoy that most about collaboration. In terms of, like, long-term collaboration, I think probably only a couple people I can think genuinely like I loved working on. I would continue to work with these people or help them in any kind of way. I think like most people said, it can be like a hit or miss. So if it's not good, it's just not good. I'm the kind of person who I like to just do things if the other people aren't pulling their weight, I end up doing everything myself because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. So if that dynamic isn't there where everyone is as equally like pulling their part, I often don't enjoy the process. But once you do find those people who are just as on fire, and I think that's why I enjoy working with other people on their projects because they tend to be as motivated, so I don't have to be dragging certain things or feeling like uneasy or anything about that. So yeah.
Daniel?
For me, I don't really collaborate. I feel like, but like will I'll basically echo what you guys are saying. It's a hit and miss, right? Because for me, it's for people who like what we agree on and what we don't agree on is kind of frustrating sometimes, and like finding that middle ground, especially because like a lot of times collaborations we're working for each other like for free, right? And then there's a lot of ideas and a lot of people want different things, and it's to find that middle ground, which can be fun and not fun at the same time. So like so yeah, that's where I'd say.
Alright, so if you're working on this collab, well, you just mentioned a free collaboration.
Jenny, music.
Jenny.
So we're going to pretend I never happened. So you just mentioned like free collaboration. Is every collaboration free? Like when you're getting paid to be on the project, do you still consider it a collaboration, or you're just
That's
a
what
pair
I'm
of
wondering.
hands?
Like, what's the definition of a collaboration? Is it like a mutual thing where both parties come together and we have an idea and we're both trying to execute it? In that case, I've never been on a successful mutual collaboration. It's always been I've collaborated with another person on their project, and someone else comes to me with my project. It's never been we're both going to work with this idea together kind of thing. And there are things that I've been paid for that I do consider a collaboration in various aspects.
Well, I took it
But
for
yeah.
the definition of um, once I'm not doing all the execution, all the work. When I work with my clients and they pitch an idea to me and I'm executing it for them, for me, that's not collaboration. For me, that's
No.
you have an idea, I'm bringing it to life. Versus if I'm doing an animation and somebody else did the assets for it. Like you did your job to design the assets, I did my job, I animated it, and somebody did post processing or something. I'm not doing all of the execution by myself. So even if it's a client that I'm working with and I'm getting paid, I still count that as collaboration.
But it sounds like you and Kokabash are speaking from like the perspective of a freelancer rather than like the perspective of Joel, who is a part of a studio and has been and
Well,
has
actually, that was what I
been
was referring to as well, studio work. Because I have also worked in a studio before, so
Yeah.
in that case, I do. Yeah. So I'm like, in cases like that, you are working with a team. So working with a team, that's what I classify as collaboration.
yeah, cause like sometimes when you get that studio job, the studio still has a client, but then when the job gets to the hands of like the crew are the ones like troubleshooting, like spitting ideas, like solving each other's issues, like that's not troubleshooting, but like they're like super interactive, drawing on top of each other, working on each other's like individual parts. Like that feels like a truly collaborative process to me, even if there is a client that's just like, this is my idea and you're going to execute it, because a studio isn't just one person. Well, it's not supposed to be just one person. It's supposed to be like a group of people with specializations or whatever, all
Unless you're
lending
Daniel.
Yeah.
all
Well,
lending
it can be. It can be.
I didn't exclude Daniel.
So unless you're Daniel.
I said, did I say that?
Nile Studio.
No.
Oh,
Oh,
That
unless
joke is
you're
going way over
not a
here.
studio. No, 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 not no. I wasn't insulting Daniel or leaving her out. But yeah, I still think that even when like a client hands you, whether it's a plural you or not something, there's like still, and you're like left to execute it. There's still like a lot of room for collaboration. Um,
yeah, for sure. Like, I
gosh, I
the
forgot.
studio I work for now was started by a client, a person who was a client and then became a friend, of course, and we've been working together for 4 years, 5 years now almost.
Oh, nice.
And she's a writer and I'm an artist. And in that kind of sense, we very much depend on each other for like a lot of it is her ideas in terms of the story and like the um, plot lines, that kind of stuff. But when it comes to like characters and character designs, a lot of the plot points she uses comes from the things I put in the artwork. So it's a kind of back and forth between like she'll write something and I'll create artwork for it, and then from the artwork that I create, she might get an idea of like because I use a certain visual or something like that. So it's been one of the most like successful collaboration processes, and she is still paying me. Like it started out as a commission based process, but she approached me with the idea of like, hey, I like these horns that you draw on characters. I want to make a story about characters like this, and then we've been working for years since then. And I think that's probably, in a true sense, a very, very much a collaboration, and probably the most successful collaboration I've had so far. But it is very much like an ongoing process. And with the studio now, with other people, it's learning how to, you know, give feedback, get feedback, direct, give, talk in a way that a lot of times as an artist, working with other artists, depending on the training you've received or the environment that you're in, not a lot, some things may not translate. So like if I'm talking about negative space or, color theory or something like that, it's hard. It's oftentimes easier to show than tell. But a lot of times because we work, especially at the studio I work at is remote, so everyone is working from home. A lot of times we have to be describing things that may not always translate. So it's always like a learning process, I think.
This
Different parts
seems
of the work.
this seems like a dumb question, but I still think it's worth asking. Has collaboration like benefited you? Well, like really and truly benefited you, and it helps you to be where you are today? Cause like studio jobs, right? You're at the studio, you have your team, you do the work with the team, and you get paid at the end of it. So obviously, collaboration is beneficial like that. But like when you were doing it for free, when you were doing it and it wasn't your idea, or you weren't get to contribute, you weren't getting to contribute your own ideas to it, but you were still doing it and you were enjoying yourself. Like, did it benefit you? Like, did anything come of it? Because a lot of times I hear online new artists are told to do work for free, and the overwhelming response is always I'm not doing it because like exposure isn't going to like pay my bills or whatever. But I still think that there's value in just like volunteering yourself to a project. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Well, personally, the benefit I get out of collaboration most of the times with other creatives specifically is they just think differently. So it's a different perspective you get on how to execute something, or new ideas that I wouldn't have necessarily come up with myself. So I get inspired when I'm around other creatives. So I end up coming up with new ideas. And if they have a skill that I don't possess, or even if it is something that they possess, maybe they have a different method for doing it, I pick up on new things and techniques from them as well. So it's iron sharpen iron type of relationship that I have experienced in the good settings where I'm amongst other professional creatives. Um, outside of that, when it comes to working with persons that aren't artists as well, I don't necessarily find a large benefit most of the time because it does feel like, okay, you did your part, I did my part. There is learning that I can gain from it, but most of the time it might just be a handoff, and then I don't see the rest of it until it's done. So I can't even like learn anything from it really because I don't get to watch them work, or we don't get to bounce ideas off of each other because it's just your knowledge on your section, my knowledge on my section kind of thing.
Joel?
You're muted, by the way, Jenny.
I know. Joel?
Um, I'm just thinking about it because as Nathaniel just put it, collaborating with other creatives is a plus. Um, I'm trying to think of like something like what is. Can you rephrase the question? Because there's a lot going through my mind as you spoke and as Nathaniel was speaking, and I think I got lost in the sauce. I started thinking about instances where collaboration, even sometimes with creatives, didn't go the way that I thought that they would. Because even though yes, we can bounce ideas off each other, sometimes there is that clash, as people put it in the media, creative differences where it really feels more like a headache than anything else. Trying to get something done.
So
But
you've never had like an instance where you worked on a project and like you got something from it later on?
Like, how is it beneficial
Yeah, like how is it,
to
how
collaborate?
has there been an instance for you where it's been beneficial before you started like your current studio like creative job?
I mean, I started right out of school. Like my studio job was. Remember that I just came straight in.
Okay.
So the only thing that comes close to that was probably group work in university. Going just go Gab, no.
Keep going. I'll check.
Yeah, man. Benefit McDonald, yes. And I'm going to say yes because when something is created, more than likely more eyes are going to see it. More people become interested in whatever it is that you create. Sometimes seeing that boost in engagement, it gives you enough drive to want to do something again. I will say though that when I am collaborating with more people, I start to feel like whatever big vision I have or we have, it feels which with every person that comes on, the vision feels a little bit more possible. Like I might sit down and I think about this cool thing. I was like, yo, I don't know how to do sparkle effects and so, and then Jenny will come in and she's like, yo, this is my area of expertise. I'm like, okay, that part's done. But then I don't know how to do these cool dynamic shots, and then people like Nathaniel and Kimani will come in and say, I have that. So it allows me to be it allows us to be a lot more expressive with the vision, rather than what do I call it? Conservative. Because sometimes you have a big idea and you just whittle it down to what you know that you alone can manage, and it doesn't really translate the way that you have it in your head. So yeah, that's really the big thing for me.
Kokab is back. Kokab, you're muted, and this time you've muted yourself.
No.
So that's that. Daniel, have you had any like good experiences with collaboration? How has it benefited you? You're muted. Okay, all right.
For me, it has benefited me tremendously, actually, right? Because I lack a lot in like writing, and so I've been in a big collaborative project for like 2 years now, right? And I'm a little hush hush about it. But like if I didn't have people who approached me about like pushing the idea further and helping me writing it, I don't think it would have been what it is today, or I would have reached the level of where I am today. Because like I draw, right? Oh, what's going on? Okay. I draw, right? I don't write. I can come up with concepts, but like that's basically where I stop, right? But then somebody else comes along and then helps me flesh out that concept, and like we definitely bounce ideas off of each other, and it's really helpful. So I have meetings every day at 4 o'clock, right? And we just bounce ideas off each other. And she writes, I draw, and it's just a really good system that we have. The only problem, of course, that I have, which was I mentioned in the beginning of collaboration, is like if you bring new people in and they want to change the concept, right? Or they have a different idea, and then after that, you have to be open to these ideas, because you can't always be married to whatever you create, because now you're opening up the concept idea to other people to collaborate with them with. And it's not like, for me, it's not like I'm paying anybody either, so it's like free. So like I feel as if like over time you have to learn, like, oh, you have to, it's okay to kind of let your baby go to other people, kind of thing. And you have to just kind of give and take almost with collaboration. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so like so yeah, that's my experience, but like it's really benefited me. I don't think I would have reached the level where I've reached without collaboration, and we could say the same for Dreamdust as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that no one that Nathaniel or Joel didn't mention it, because um Dreamdust,
And
the Expo, what, the Expo is
no,
like a super collaborative effort. Like one person wanted to do a thing, and then she went to her friends, and her friends were like, yeah, that's a cool idea, and then it kind of just snowballed into Dreamdust. And that's like nobody's getting paid for this, like everybody's just volunteering their time, but it has benefited us so far. At least we've been able to meet more animators, or more people in animation in Jamaica, and a little bit more of like the wider Caribbean. So that's like one benefit to collaboration that like most of us here have experienced. And like personally, I guess I collaborated with somebody on their project like a few years back, or I just loaned a helping hand. Like what Nathaniel was saying was like I applied my knowledge to my section and I just handed it off to somebody else. I did that, but as a reward for it, a client found me through that project, and then like I got 3 jobs with that client afterwards, and then I was able to turn that over into paying other people to collaborate with me, and now I have like strong collaborative relationship, professional relationships with those people. So like I just think that not being open to the idea of just like getting together with your friends, like people that you trust, people that you want to work with, people that you respect, like not doing that, I think you're cutting off like one avenue of development for yourself. Like not have to come out of it, but you don't know what will turn into something else. So like try it. Like
Yeah.
I take be smart. Maybe you get an opportunity to be on a project and you're like, I'm not sure about this. Ask somebody, like see what their experience has been like with other things, see if they know anything about the project that you've been handed, and then make your decisions from there, and then like move on.
But I think the most beneficial thing, to be honest, about collaboration is executing a project becomes a lot faster and it's a lot less workload for you to do everything. So once you're just doing your parts, then it's less work for you, less time to think, faster it gets out there. I think Joel had mentioned that, so that's
So that's why we do it.
yeah. Getting your
Also,
ideas out there faster is better.
also
So you can produce
animation
more
is
stuff.
like like a communal activity. Like you can do a bunch of the stuff by yourself, but you don't want to do. watch it yourself by yourself. It's too stressful.
Not a good, really long. My God, I'm short, man. It took me so long to do.
Oh, just
Next time,
better.
I
Sitting
see
on
you
one.
guys. Yo, just doing it. And I feel like the longer you sit with it, the more demotivated you get to finish it. You get, at least if somebody already knows that it's out there, especially like, you show it to your friends, they're going to be on your butt. Like, what's going on with this? Why haven't you finished it? And maybe that's the incentive you need to say, like, okay, I just need help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that, like, asking for help, I think it's sometimes the hardest thing to do, right? And once you ask for that help and you actually get that help, it's like a big stress reliever, especially when you have friends that are in the industry. And networking too. Collaboration is also about a bunch of networking, so you can just hit up your friend and say help, and hopefully they'll help.
Yeah, Daniel just brought up like 2 points that I wanted to get to. Sometimes you know of people or you're in the same circles of with people, and you want to talk to them and you don't know how to talk to them. You're not one of those people that can just start up a spontaneous conversation over the web, or just like, or even face to face. Like, you don't really have anything solid in common, and you can't just bring up a conversation. Sometimes being on a project breaks that ice. Like, I was recently on a project and I knew of a bunch of people. I know I have their names and numbers, and like I talk to them. I just like slide into the DMs. Hey, how's it going? What's going on with that thing you told me about? And it's like it's easier to talk to them now. And oh gosh, what else did you say? What did you say, Daniel? I forgot the second point. Oh, the second point.
She said it was taking stress. She said it was taking
Oh
stress
yeah,
of,
running to
yeah.
each other for help. So that was my second question. Like, a lot of us collaborate with each other. Why? Like, why? I mean, I think there is an obvious answer, but I don't want to assume that answer for you. Like, why do you, Nathaniel, go to like your friends, Leah and Adam? Why does Kokab volunteer to help her friends, Matthew? Why does Daniel go to whomever for help? Like, why do you choose these people? Like, what are you thinking about when you go to them?
Well, I think Kokap had kind of mentioned it earlier in some sense, but it is if you have a certain standard for your own work, you kind of have to expect that same standard from the person that you're working with, and so it's easy to ask somebody that you know can meet your standard. That's for the execution in your head. So as Daniel had mentioned, she's not good at writing, so she wants somebody who can write well, but it's still meeting the standard of what she would want for her project. And Kokab, in a similar sense, is working with somebody that is writing and she's doing the art. And so for me, like when I go to Leo in particular, I'm not really that knowledgeable on post-processing and or like Joel, I'm not really good at that section of things. And so I know they can execute with the vision that I have in mind, and so I can just hand off and say, hey, yo, can you do this kind of thing for me, because I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to teach myself anything about it. It's this confidence in the relationship and the person that they can get it done without me having to micromanage their section, because I don't want to feel, if I'm collaborating, I don't want to feel like I'm doing the work or having to take over or correct. So I'm not going to approach anybody where I might have to do the work in the end. I'm going to go to somebody that I'm just like, yeah, man, I can just leave you and I just trust you, and then I'll leave it at that.
Joel? Joel?
I'm thinking.
Okay, I'll move on. Kokab, do you have a response to that?
Yeah, I think oftentimes it's also just about like if something is interesting to you, or you have like if it's your friend, like there's so many different reasons why you may volunteer your services to helping other people or choose to collaborate with other people. There are lots of stuff I've done because it just seemed cute, or it just seemed fun, or it just seemed like, okay, maybe that person could use some help, even if I wasn't getting paid for it. Or we did a bunch of stuff we've done together, Janelle, that, like has helped me with animating, like years down the line. Like I just remember, like, we're helping you fill out frames and color stuff, and like I apply those things when I'm doing stuff now, even though that was never like a thing I wanted to do when I was helping you do your thing. So it's always, yeah, as Nathaniel says, like having people with a similar standard as you, with a similar drive, that can also just help to inspire you. And at the end of the day, we just want to make cool stuff. Like at the end of the day, I feel like the majority of artists, we just want to make cool things and see cool things and help people make cool things. And I think like at the end of the day, that's just the driving force for me personally. Is just, making good stuff. Good, cool stuff.
Daniel, you got anything to say? Do you want to respond?
It's a question.
I know the people that you go to for help, to collaborate with. Why do you choose those people? Like, what's in your mind when you're making your choices? When you hit somebody up and like, hey, I need this thing. Can you do it for me, please? Like, what are you thinking? Like, why do you choose them?
Because two things. I'm an introvert, right? So there's a selective few people that I'm going to like comfortably talk to. So like, for one, I have to be comfortable talking with whoever I'm speaking to, and of course, I trust the work that they're going to do. Like, example, I asked Kimani to do a background for me.
Pause.
Because
The Kimani that we keep referring to is Kimani Gale. He's also on like the admin board. He's he's an animator and a background designer, and he's like a musician. And we use him a lot as a friend to help everybody. All right, continue.
Use, not use.
We use his skills a lot. Damn. Okay, we'll just edit that part out. Move on.
Yeah, so like I asked him, hey, can you do this for me? Right? That's the first thing you ask. Like, do you have time to help me with something? And I chose him, of course, as we've been saying, because I trust him that he will do the work. I don't have to feel as if, oh no, he basically wasted my time because I gave somebody the work and they didn't do such a good job, and I had to basically start over from scratch, right? So like, it's really trust and comfort for me. Yeah.
I feel like why I couldn't answer earlier is because I think it's only since very, very, very recently I've started taking steps towards asking people for help.
Instead of being asked?
Yeah, I'm more used to you guys coming to me for help.
Yeah.
I'm trying hard to remember if there's ever a time I actually reached out, and I think it was probably for that walk cycle that I did, Janelle. When I reached out to you and Kimani on, like, hey, give me some tips on this. Am I doing well? And I think, and this is for anybody out there who's going through something similar, when you feel like, or you've always been in a position where you need to just get it done, at the end of the day, most times it's on you, it's crunch time. You feel like there's an expectation that you have to deliver, and you have to deliver on your own because it's something that you used to. But it's going to be hard, but start getting yourself comfortable with asking for help. And maybe there's a little bit of pride sprinkled in there. Maybe because you're so used to working on your own, you feel like, okay, I have this locked. And then maybe if somebody says, well, there's another way to do this, you probably just start to shut down. I used to go through a wave of that in high school where I felt like I had everything. My teacher would say, no, well, you could actually do X, Y, Z. And it just shut me down. And I had to fight to break out of that kind of mindset. And as you can see, I'm still struggling in professional work, but tiny steps, and you can get it. I'm gonna get there one day. And may God have mercy on your souls when I do, because I'm going to be coming to you guys for every little thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you.
I rarely ask if ever.
I'm terrible at it too, so you're not alone there, Joe.
Cocab
Yeah,
is like
I
forever helping people, and then when I offer her help, she's like, no, no, just sit, and I'm just like,
I don't
are
think
you?
I do a lot at least. Like I don't know if I like probably the only times I ever ask people someone for help is casual when I'm animating something or like animating something. Aside from that, like
Yeah, but like apart from work though, you don't. Apart from work, even in like just in your general physical surroundings, if someone should offer to help you with like move this box, yeah, no, 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 I got it. Like you don't need to though. You can accept the help. And that
yeah, so help me all the ways, but oftentimes it's just quicker to do it myself. It's kind of like by the time I ask you, I could have already done it. But yeah,
um
that's just the kind of person I am. But if I do need it, I definitely.
I find that when I am thinking of people to ask for help personally, first of all, I'm thinking of people who I know. I find that since I've noticed it since high school that like the people around me are good, or at least I think they're good. Me and my limited experience, I think that they're good, and a few of those people are still around me. So like we've grown together skill wise because we have like the same interests, and me and go flop. I'm a friend I do good. Like me and Nathaniel and Adam they in a school, and Nathaniel are going good and Adam are going good. Me can't flop. And then you go college and then you meet some more, but can't flop again. Like it's so I find that the people around me are growing with me. So it's easy for me to say, okay, I need help. Let me just go to these people I know definitely got it. Like I know that they can definitely deliver. Like you guys are saying, like you don't have to worry about it. And I also think about like I can be really particular and also really wishy-washy about my decisions. Like I want a particular vibe, but I don't know exactly what to do to get that vibe. So if I'm choosing somebody and say, Nathaniel, can you help me with special effects? I know that whatever Nathaniel does, I'm going to like it. Like I just need to describe to him what I want, and then whatever he does, it will be it. It will fit the vibe, even if it wasn't exactly what I was imagining. I won't have to worry about it. So like I choose people, whatever they give me, I don't have to worry about it as a project manager. I don't have to say I don't really like that thing. I can just trust that they've got it, and that if even if they step outside my expectations, it will still be something that I like. I also have to like think about whether them have sense for them own project, like how they run their personal stuff. I just expect that all that experience is going to be on my personal stuff as well,
Yeah.
and I try to think about like if they're busy, like Daniel was saying, like if they had time, like if they're overworked, if I think they're burnt out, if they could take a break. Um, Sometimes I don't hit them up because of that, because like I think you're busy and I think you've been doing a lot, so I just leave you alone. So like those are things that I really think about. But like, do you guys ever worry about like when it goes bad between you and your friends? Like you're collaborating for free, you're not getting paid for it. Because I think that's the biggest concern of collaboration. When you're not getting paid, when you're getting paid, you're motivated to stay to figure out your issues. But like when you're not getting paid, do you guys worry about it? Like, has it ever gone sour between you and your friends, and you're like, okay, this isn't worth it. Let's just stop this right here so we can preserve our friendship over this project. Like, have you guys ever had that experience before?
No.
Well, as we had said earlier, I don't really ask for help enough for me to. By the time I have gotten to the point to reach out to somebody to ask for help, I already trust them enough that I think they can get it done. So I don't think I have any experience that I can think of where things went sour. And God forbid that ever happens at any point in time.
Yeah.
But it's
Other
also a
person-
respect of people's time and skills,
Yeah.
Like, I just want to add this though. I think the pertaining to what you just said, I feel as if the fear of collaboration is also once you're the person who's asking for help and the work is free, you also take up the kind of this leadership stance, right? And especially if you have a vision and it may be hard to just say, hey, I don't like this, can you do so well? And it because it's free worth, right? It's not like you paying the person. And you kind of worry that, oh, am I being too bossy or whatever? But I feel as if once you're in the space of collaboration, there is almost a certain thing that you should accept, or not accept, but expect, right? That there's going to be kind of this, what's this word? I want to say like leadership kind of thing, or something that you
Like a hierarchy.
Yeah, and then,
Yes.
or like an environment of critique in like a
Yeah.
respectful way. Like you are going to, if it's my project, I have a vision.
Yeah.
You kind of have to accept that, it's, I don't
Yeah.
like something,
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
It's always, it's so tricky. Whether you're working with this, but with people for money or not, it's always tricky, especially if you're working with friends, I think. Especially if it's like a serious project that it's, very close to one of your hearts. It can sometimes be very hard to like express to the other person exactly what your vision is having.
Yeah.
So it's,
I think that boils back down to the trust aspect that we had mentioned earlier. Is that's part of it. It's like if I'm approaching somebody or they're approaching me, they know that I'm in a place where either I can execute their vision or I'm willing to listen to them to help execute that vision. If it's wrong, then well, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just like, okay, this is your idea. I'm willing to try and rework it if I have the time. But like, say for instance, like Sammy, my sister, she doesn't reach out to a lot of people for help either, and she says that I'm one of the few people that she will ask to actually help her paint things or like cut things or whatever, because she trusts me and she knows that we think on the same wavelength. And if something's going wrong, it's just an expectation, as Daniel had said. It's just I'm expecting her to guide me to help her with her vision.
But you see, Samantha is like another co-cab. Co-cab is like Samantha and co-cab are always like in other people's projects help, and then they don't accept help or they don't ask for help. So like, what's going on there, guys? Like, do you worry
Well-
for people like that? Like, do you worry that do you think that like people who are always willing to be there for other people's projects, are they at risk for like doing too much on their own, or just like allowing themselves to be overwhelmed when they could have just asked for help, but they're like they'd rather be the helper than be helped? Like, do you worry? Is that like a concern, or I'm just like
Maybe.
overthinking it?
but I
It's
also
like me
think
not
that
said it. Oh, what is?
What?
You mean I just said it like a while ago?
well, she did, but
Yeah, that's
I
true.
guess she's asking. I guess people who don't usually ask for help. I guess the thing is, the way I think about it is like maybe I am just not the kind of person who's going to necessarily take on a project that I know I can't handle myself. If it is, maybe there's a few times I would ask for help, but it's like maybe I'm running out of time, or hardly ever, especially on a personal project, am I ever going to choose to do something that I can't just do myself. Or if I can't do it now, I'm just going to wait, or I'm just going to learn it to do it myself. Like I don't necessarily need to do it urgently, or if it's I rarely ask another artist for help. I'd probably ask, like, if I need music for something, ask a musician, or if I need help with writing, ask a writer. If I need help with, like, animating, ask an animator. Like, things that I can't do, or I am not willing to learn to do right now, then maybe those things, rarely am I going to ask another artist for them on my art.
I think that's another reason. So
I do, yeah.
Your skill set and what you enjoy doing. It's like if you have a wide range of knowledge on like the pipeline for instance, you're less likely to reach out to somebody for help because in your brain you can do it and you might even
Yeah,
want to do it. It's like, oh, this is fun for me.
exactly.
I
I
want
want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate doing logo design, so I asked Jonas to do my logo, and I guess that was like me reaching out to asking for help because I know I'm never going to do it myself,
Yeah.
and he is good at it, and I like his work, so I'm going to ask him to do that. In those kinds of ways, yes, I do ask for help. But when it comes to like my own personal things, I don't think I ever
Yeah.
choose to do anything that I can't just do myself. In that kind of
Daniel,
way, yeah.
you had asked earlier if we worry about relationships souring to a collaboration. And a point I want to add is that I know from experience that sometimes you will buck heads, but I am very grateful that for everybody that I work with, there is always at least two voices of reason to say, hey, make a go back and make a just do this real time. And nobody's head was so far up there to say, I'm not going to do this. You guys need to figure it out and get back to me. Like, for example, when we're doing the bumper and I was in After Effects and we were working out the effects and the sound effects real time, I don't think that's something that I would have thought up on my own. Because I remember doing a version and then we all had our notes and we're like, okay, maybe we can adjust some of this or that and that. I'm like, hey, I'm in it now. We could jump on. I think we spent like an hour after just in After Effects, and I think as Nathaniel was saying, that was a good way of seeing how I work.
Yeah.
And actually doing it real time. So in terms of sowing friendships or relationships, again, as long as everybody is willing to listen and compromise and after just reason things out, even if there's a point of contention, it's usually resolved. It doesn't really last any longer. And when in cases where it doesn't, it's usually a bunch of strangers coming together to do something.
Yep.
And I'll add to that and say it's just expectation. If you're going to collaborate with someone, right, you should accept a certain level of what's going to happen. It's not going to just be like, oh, I'm just coming on this project, right? You're actually working with someone. So yeah, that's what I want to add.
What do you think on the points of like contention and like conflicts and whatever? What are the dangers of collaboration? Like, what do you do when it goes wrong? Like, because of course, if you haven't come up in like a bubble of friends that are all super supportive and protective and very invested in teaching each other and say, hey, that happened to me over there, don't go there, or I did this and then I got this result, so you probably want to try that. So if you're not surrounded by professional artists as everybody here is, like, what are the dangers of collaboration? Because I know of people who get themselves into situations where they feel like they're being taken advantage of, whether it's because of like expectations being like completely separate from the asker's expectation is different from the askee's expectation, or like something changed during production and attitudes start flaring up, toes get stepped on, like what do you do when a collaboration goes wrong, and like what do you look out for to avoid getting into that situation? Because sometimes we just know how to say no. We just say no. Like, we know whether we're getting paid for it or it's a free thing, we know when to say no. But like, how do you get to that point? Like, how did you know that this collaboration was going wrong? What do you look out for? What do you do when it is wrong? Daniel?
I'd say the foundation. It's like, if the foundation of the idea or just sounds messed up already, then it's going to fall apart.
But what is
Like-
messed up? Like, what's the definition of messed
Like,
up?
okay, when I said the foundation, let's talk about like animation, right? If there's too much disagreements, and there's too much of people not actually collaborating but being independent almost, even if it can be like independent of like their mind, of like how they're approaching, or like how they decide to draw it, kind of thing, right? If you realize that everybody's like kind of all over the place with ideas, and we're not coming together and just being like, okay, so you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and we're going to write a script, we're going to have like almost like a proper timeline that we come together and just agree with, then I feel as if it's a foundation that will just fall apart. Like it's, you're building a straw house.
Like no one is in one accord, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Like
mean,
so.
we had. Oh, finish what you said.
Oh, continue. I was just going to mention like the bumper and even what we're working on currently, right? We had steps on how we're going to approach it, and none of us had any disagreement of how we were going to approach it. And the foundation there is already steady. You know, it's
Yeah.
not all over the place. Continue.
I actually do recall a collaboration that didn't go well. That was pre-work. I wouldn't say it never went well in terms of during the collaborations so much. I don't think the persons that were on that project, it was Adam and my friend Leo that were helping somebody else with, as well as myself, with their project. And the person knows me well, or well enough rather. And I guess they trust me, but they didn't know Leo and Adam. And I recommended them because I was like, listen, these are two people who are strong at these particular areas, and you have a huge project on your hands. Like, just ask them for help. If they're willing, they'll jump on, send them this side of work to do. And the issue that I had to try and resolve kind of to decide was kept pulling him aside and saying, yo, trust the team, because he was like micromanaging a lot and trying to change. Like, it is his project and it is his idea, but it's basically he was trying to do the work while they were doing the work. And I was just like, bro, the whole point of a team is you're delegating and they're supposed to do work. Let them do what they're doing, and at the end then you can try to give feedback or what you want to change. But in the end, it's almost like, I guess there was lack of trust or lack of shared vision on how things could look, because even some of the work that we had done for them just wasn't used. It wasn't showcased. The advice that was given to help make it better wasn't listened to. It was just, all right, I don't know, maybe it was pride, or they wanted to do everything themselves, but then asking for help kind of doesn't make sense. But I haven't spoken to that person since, so I don't know if it rubbed them the wrong way, the way things worked out, because I don't have any bad vibes towards them or the project. But it really, the dangers, as Daniel said, are like having a weak foundation. Like, if the idea is just not, you are not vibing with the idea, or if you detect red flags of this person has a very high expectation of you, like they're going to drop a lot of workload on you and they're not really doing that much. It's not so much about collaboration, it's more of like, I'm doing the work and you're just kind of ordering me around type of vibe. Worse if it's free. I did have, now I'm remembering all of these bad collaboration ideas. I did have somebody approach me at one point in time, and they wants to collaborate on a comic idea. And the pitch was, we want to, this is the concept, and it was like a one-liner, and yeah, we want you to do the entire comic. I was like, okay, so what are you doing? How is this a collab? It's like, we're going to market it. So who's writing? It's like, well, I guess we can, and I was like, all right, so you plan to sell this thing, and how we're going to get paid? How much are you going to get paid? And they're like, oh yeah, you get paid X amount and we get paid this amount. And I was like, absolutely not. And I was like, you're paying me less than you would get paid, and I'm doing the entire product. I was like, comics are not easy. They're very similar to animation. It's like, you can't expect me to design your characters, draw the backgrounds, draw up the scenes, draw line art, sketches, color, everything, and then all you're doing is basically marketing and bouncing ideas off of me as well, because I'm supposed to help write in the script, and then I'm going to get paid equivalent or less than you. And I was like, that's not a good idea. So that was like a situation to say no. So picking up on red flags and shaky foundations from early, like that's a big danger of collaboration. You don't really want to ruin your relationships with people, and you don't want to get taken advantage of.
So what are your list of red flags that you
Yeah.
go for? Like Danielle just mentioned hers, everybody not being in one accord. You just mentioned some of yours, like the division of labor, like whether or not it's going to be like marketed product, and therefore are you going to get paid at the end of this? Like
Yeah.
what are the other red flags that you guys look for?
Time. Time for me is a big thing because, and I want to talk on Daniel's and Nathaniel's point. The main thing I look for is who is leading the project, and I want to speak to who is leading the project because what most people tend to do is either one or two things. It's either they underestimate the amount of work they're actually asking for, or they have no idea what they're asking for.
Exactly. And
But
people who
what
have
they
no idea
will, right? But what
I
they
just
do know
avoid
is
them
that,
completely.
but what they do know is that I don't know what I want yet, but I know I want it by this what November. I know I want like
Yeah,
10 minutes animation by
it's not
by
organized.
February. I want it for Valentine's Day. So
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that sounds like a lot of work, and it's really that big red flag because that tells me that they have absolutely no idea what they're asking for, and all that's going to do if they don't have somebody who can actually manage the line, all that's going to do, as Nathaniel said, bring in people, give them too much work to do, micromanaging them because in your head you're thinking that they're supposed to get X done in X amount of time. It's not that hard. Why can't they just do it? And so I look at who is leading the project. I'm more willing to jump on a project if they're like, I don't have any idea what I'm doing, but I brought in Jenny who has experience with this and she'll be helping me through it. Versus, you just come on and we'll probably figure it out as we go along.
Like they
So
need to
those are
have
the
some sort of self-awareness that they don't know anything, therefore
right.
they need to make space for anything to happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it also sets the stage that I won't recommend anybody else to join this project because I see the headache coming, and I'm not going to do that to my colleagues. I'm not going to invite anybody into this. And it's easier for me to walk away and you cuss me and tell me all sorts of things because I know at the end of the day it is going to fail. And when it does, I don't want to hear, well, we can never say nothing. Da, 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 da. I don't know if that ever happened to you guys before. Like, why you
I don't
never
want
say
my
it?
name attached to a project that I can see is going to fail. It's just like, please don't. Just
That's a sense of community.
Short time.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. I'm
No,
here, so
I was just to answer your question, I guess, about the red flags. I guess to answer Adam to Joel's point is the time thing, and whether if the person is someone you don't know or only really have like a passing relationship with, and they come with either short time frame or not, and they don't plan to pay you or have no plan to fund this in some way, I think those are two very, 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 very big red flags that probably I would just never work with people who are like that. That's like, I don't know you, why am I going to trust that you, there are lots of people who will come to you with various different reasonings and saying whether, I know as a black artist and a black woman, you get approached by other black people and black women who assume that you're just going to want to support whatever they do just because they are black people. And of course you're always going to think, but I am an artist who needs to get paid and I'm not going to just, I don't know you, I'm not your friend. It's like, hey, I have this idea, I love your artwork, let's collaborate on this thing. Anytime I see an email, unfortunately, anytime I see an email with the word collaborate on it, I'm probably never going to work with that person because that means that they do not want to pay me. They actually just want they want me to feel like I'm part of the project, but at the end of the day, it's their thing, and they're trying to hire me to do it. But then they want to collaborate to make it feel like, we can work together on this, but like you don't have any plan for funding. you don't have, especially comics. I don't know what to do with comics specifically, and people just not knowing how much work comics actually are and how much time it takes. Like
Book
they assume that
illustrations
one
too.
artist is needed for a comic, probably two at minimum, inkers, sketch ink, colors, typesetting. If one person is supposed to know all those things, it's going to be a thousands and thousands of
It's
dollars.
all
But like
that.
people just don't want to hear that. They just want to be like, we're gonna collaborate, and it just unfortunately it's not always used in a genuine collaboration sense. It's used to take advantage of you, or to make you feel like, or your project too, and it really isn't, and it will have problems if that's the case. But yeah.
They take that same approach to book illustrators as well. Like they always assume that
Okay,
is
children's books.
that.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Never
I
again
mean,
will I do a
yeah,
children's.
one
I'm
book.
sorry. I get so many,
I mean,
many half
Is
ask
it is
me,
it
and I
is
was
it a
always afraid of somewhere else.
is it just a thing in the air? All of a sudden, I'm getting a lot of
it's not
DMs
an all of
about,
us
hey,
something.
children's book illustrations. Like what?
Oh,
It's
recently.
always this time of
It's
year.
always been-
People
it's always been
come
like
to you
that.
for children's book. And I will always be like, yo, I am not taking children's books, but I can refer you to other people. Danielle is one of the people I refer to, but I know you're busy. And like, I just, most of the time it's not worth it to me.
The thing about
Unless it's like a
children's,
publisher, it's not worth it.
the thing about
You know, I just said
children's
that
book,
book club Daniel have to start run at 10% after them referring.
the thing
Just
about
to
the,
quickly
Absolutely.
add,
okay,
I just want to quickly add with the book thing. When I have conversations with people about like doing books, they're always, I ask for a price, and always they're just like, it's too expensive, and I'm just
Every
like,
single time.
yeah, and I'm just like, I think I had to explain to one lady because she's like, but I'm a teacher, that's too much, and I'm like, but
Some of them are hobbyists as well. Like they're writing a book and they think writing children's books is easy and it gets money, so you can just sell and we just need some art. But like the art is the main part of a children's book.
That
No
is
offense to
the-
the story, but like the
that's the
main part
thing.
of a children's book is
they look
the
at
art.
children's book and they think that it's easy. They say, okay, it's not a lot of words. We can write that. We don't need an editor. We don't need a typesetter. We don't need a graphic designer. We don't need a creative director. We don't
So
need
many
none of
others.
that stuff. And then they get
Also,
one
the type-
artist. This is like this is
Type of
a side
illustration has to be
tangent.
easy.
This is a side tangent,
It
but
is.
like
No,
quite
it
a
is
few
it
of
is
us have
part of the whole
experienced this, and
collaboration.
I think it's something we should
Yeah.
like spend some time on. They just think, oh, I can write something, and then I can get an artist to do it. And then when the artist is like, well, who's going to put these images into book format? You are. No, I'm not.
I use the format too. I'm not a formatter, I'm not a typesetter. I'm
Can you set it up for the printer for me, please?
Yeah, like
Exactly.
what's your
It's
book
not
cover going to
uploading,
look
can you
like?
change the file format? And I'm just like, that's not my job.
and the worst part is when you ask anything over 100,000 and they want the project done in 4 months. Like if
Jamaica.
you pay me 100,000
Yeah, Jamaica.
for 4 months, I live with my parents. I'd like
That's-
to move out, right? I can't move out if you're giving me that amount of money, right? Rent is like 50 plus. Like
25,000 per month? No, that is not
70
even
Yeah,
on
like-
average for
That's
one
like-
bedroom, one bathroom.
Come on.
here
It's like,
for
no.
the
Yeah.
rest of my life if you don't pay me well.
People always assume like children's books are easy work. They're not easy work. They're a very big
Not
business,
easy.
very big industry for a reason, and it has rules and regulations that apart from me being the artist having to adhere to, you as a writer are going to have to adhere to. So you're going to find probably like you've written this book, but you have too many words for a kid's book, and they're not going to accept it at your publisher thing. Like whoever is like, even if you're printing it yourself, you're going to have problems. So do your research and protect yourselves,
So, yeah.
guys, about
Don't
like
approach
children's
artists
books.
So
to
if
collaborate
they
on your
email you
massive
on a
projects.
weekend, do not accept the collaboration. Do not. The people who email you on Saturdays and Sundays, especially early in the morning or late at night, they have other jobs that they're doing and this is their side thing, and they do not have the money to pay you. They do not. That is a red flag for me.
Another red flag is when they promise you that they're going to give you a full-time job to pay you like a little bit of amount. Let's say they're going to give you 30,000. And these are for the really young artists, because this one caught me, right? They'll promise you a little bit amount of money, right? You do it, and then they promise you a full-time job. A lot of the times you don't get that full-time job or get any more money than they're paying.
Nope.
So they'll try to take
because they realize how expensive it is.
And then they brand it as collaboration as well.
I shut down those arguments very quickly by just giving them my price and they disappear. No nonsense, no
I
negotiation.
increased my price just so that they disappear.
Oh yeah.
I have a couple of things to say about red flags. Mostly, like, I just imagine myself doing the project. That's all I need to do. I don't think. I mean, of course, I do think about, like, your timeline. If I know you, do I trust you? Like, the expectations, all that. I think about all that stuff. But mostly, what I think about is imagining myself doing this project. You want me to do a 5-minute animation. And it's supposed to be collaborative, or they're hiring me, but they're giving me, like, full creative freedom. I just imagine myself going through all the steps to make that finished product, and by the time I reach step 2, I'm tired. Like, I am mentally tired, and that gives me my answer. I'm like, no, that's my answer. And then when I take some time to think about it, I'm able to list out all the things about, like, this imagined situation that I just put myself through with this particular client or person who's approached me, and I say this and this and this and this and these are things you need to think about, and if you don't do these things, it's going to rest on me, and then my price goes up and blah 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 ray. And another thing that I look out for, a red flag that I look out for, is your attitude. If you're coming to me, particularly if you are someone who is in another creative industry, like a writer or a director or a musician, if you're in another creative industry and you're in Jamaica and you know how the creative industries are treated here, and you come to me with, it's just a little thing may I ask if you do, and I needed to give me
you're supposed to understand
a realistic
I am not
price.
your friend.
I needed to give me a realistic price. I know it will take some time, and you're trying to sweet, like, you have presented yourself as, like, a knowledgeable, sweet, like, silver tongue, sweet talking, sweet person, and sometimes I can tell you are actually genuinely a sweet person, but you just have no clue. And sometimes your ego is screaming at me, and I'm just like, no, I am not going to pretend as if what I do is secondary to what you do, and I don't appreciate you applying this attitude to me when you have experienced the other end of this. I know someone has approached you for something and they didn't value it and they treated you like as if you were second class. Don't bring it to me. I'm just going to tell you no, and I'm going to make sure you know. Like, I'm not going to soften it at all. I'm going to say, okay, you want your budget is $1,000, $1,000 US, and or 500 US or 75 US. And a lot of times I don't even get a mention of a budget. I don't try to be nice. I don't try to be gentle. I just say, these are what the industry standards are saying. These are the prices of the industry standards, and this is what I'm asking for, because I am also an industry standard type of artist. So, like, that's what you need to step your game up, basically. And then that just
let people know how you want.
And then I warn people about them too, because I'm for the people. Yep. I warn the others, like whoever else who they could possibly approach, I warn them. Animation is very small. We all know each other, or we will know each other. So.
Yep. There's ever clients on my blacklist.
That's period right there.
This has turned into how to identify what's not a good collaboration or what's not a collaboration at all.
No, it's not really important.
And I mean, also it goes well, like, clients over the board and, like, working with people in general, I think.
Yeah.
And then, like, there's that where you have a bad collaboration and you have gotten through it and you finished it, but then they want to collaborate again, and then how do you tell them, I did not like working with you and I will probably never work with you again? Like, I don't, that's always a struggle for me. Like I don't want to hurt people's feelings.
Yeah.
But oftentimes I've had to break up professionally with clients. In that kind of sense. Where, like sometimes before a job is done, or sometimes after a job is done. Okay, yes, next project, and I'm just like, no, I can't do this anymore. Like, how do you guys? I guess this is my question. How do you guys break up bad collaboration?
I haven't.
I guess.
I haven't
Are you
yet.
just straightforward, or are you skirt around it? Something like.
I haven't yet. I got. Thank you for hosting, Kokab. I feel like I guess now.
Sorry, I'm just genuinely
No,
curious.
it's fine,
I'm
it's fine.
curious about it.
I haven't like officially broken up with anybody yet. Okay, so a few months ago, somebody that I work with on the regular, I had to like take them out, like I was really under pressure for various reasons, and like it was at the breaking point, and I had to send them to somebody else to talk to, because I didn't think I'd have been able to like talk to them in the way that I wanted to talk to them. It's not like when I'm upset, I want to be upset with you and I want to release aggression. I don't want that. I just want to like communicate to you clearly what I need to tell you, and I wasn't able to do that. So I sent them to somebody else, and like they came to me afterwards, and they made like some innocuous comment, nothing rude, nothing careless, but like it really touched on a sore point that had been bothering me for a while, and I really let them have it. But I wasn't upset. It was just like a mountain of frustration that just came out, and I was like, okay, that thing that you've been doing for months, it needs to stop. And it stopped. So like I'm still able to work with that person. There's like no hard feelings or whatever, because like of course like I've been exercising like a lot of grace and patience, as I would have liked somebody to exercise that with me. If I'm doing something stupid and I've been doing something stupid, have patience with me. Tell me, but also have patience with me. And that's how I try to treat other people that I'm collaborating with. Someone else now, they hired me. It wasn't a collaboration. They hired me. And I had to tell them all the things that they were not expecting. And I didn't expect it either, because I'm so used to being in a team at this point. Like, I just know my job, and that I'll be able to rely on somebody. I didn't realize that I wouldn't have anybody to rely on until like too late. So after that project, other people started coming to me because of that project, and I ghosted on it. I just didn't respond. I was just like, I'm never doing this again. I've never spoken to any of you before. I'm just not going to respond. It wasn't even really ghosting. I just did not respond. And that's how I dealt with that. Anybody else?
Luckily for me, I don't really have to break up with them, because as much as it sounds like an excuse, it's actually true. I'm just busy. I usually have selected from a set of projects that I'm capable of doing at the time, and people just happen to pop in while I have projects and be like, hey, can I work with you? I'm like, nope, busy, not available until the next X amount of time, and there's no guarantee.
But what did they come back?
They have a couple times.
I am busy.
One lady every year is like, she asks me for COVID, and I'm just like, I'm busy because I do not like working with her, but every year she comes back.
There has been cases where clients have come back to me that I don't want to work with. At that point in time, I really do have to just find a stronger excuse than I'm busy.
I'm never going to tell them I hate them.
Most of the time, though, especially recently, I have been working with studios that have very long projects. So it's like months on end, and so I will tell them, I'm just like, listen, indefinitely I'm busy. I'm work, and I'll just tell them that, like, I can't guarantee I will be available for this project, and I have a waiting list. So like, if I can put you on the list, if I want to work with you, I'll tell people that. I was like, I can put you on the list, but there's no guarantee I'll get to you anytime soon. And sometimes I'll tell people, hey, reach back out to me at X time to see if I'm available, because I'm not going to remember. And I was like, there's just too much on my plate for me to reach out to you for your project. But I've just been lucky that I've never actually had to lie to anybody that I don't like working with you. But people have been on my blacklist before, and I've had to warn friends and co-workers alike, just, yo, don't work with this person, or if this person approach you, charge them extra, or like Like, cause yeah, it's the headache tax, you know. Like, yo, if you're gonna stress me out, it's stress tax. Here's how much this double whatever rate, and if them come back to me, yeah, man. Yesterday's price is not today's price. You didn't accept the first budget, now it's higher. But yeah,
For me, I guess I've been pretty lucky. I've just been transparent. It's either if I do want to work with you, it's like, hey, I'm on my break period, or I am not taking any projects at this time, but feel free to shout me like maybe a month down the line. And people who I have no interest working with, I'm looking at you, NFT artists. I am not in agree. I'm not interested. Sorry.
yeah.
But if you would like, I could do some research in my pool to see, who's interested. And they're like, oh yeah, sure, that's fine. And there are one or two that, I'll be like, okay, I genuinely want to do this. I genuinely want to do the project, but I can't do it. So I will like say like, hey, check out XYZ. And there's some that I'm never recommending anybody to you.
Yeah.
But I think Jenny calls that the corporate voice in me. Like I have a way of being very corporate, so it kind of lets them down easy. But it's very clear. I'm not saying check the back is like, hey, I'm not interested. But good luck.
I'm anti-corporate voice. I'm very frank. I find that helps a lot. Like like the well-meaning people who come to you to hire you or to collaborate with you, and they don't know anything, and they don't know that they don't know anything, and I can tell that they really mean well. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to work with you for various reasons, and let me just sit down and explain the process to you and what your expectations should be and shouldn't be for the next person that you approach. So I take the time to educate, and that like usually gets them to stop like pressing me to be part of these things. Just like, this is what's going to happen. These are all the stages that you haven't considered. And this is why I'm not doing it. Find somebody that like can do all this stuff. And I try to let them know that they have left that conversation with me in a better place than when they entered it. So like they'll be a better client to the next person that
that's just generally the hope. Even if it's just free collaboration or whatever, it's still educate them to a point where they don't go approach another artist with the same mindset that they did with you. Some people are just hard-headed regardless, or they know that they're just trying to take advantage of you, so that doesn't work. They're fully going to go and try to scam somebody else out of their work. But I mean, it's better you try. Some of them are genuinely they're just ignorant, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is a profession that is niche, and unless you're in our field, you don't really know the ins and outs of it. So I can't expect you to know how long things are going to take, how many people are generally on a team for your type of project and stuff like that. So it's informing them so that they have a better headspace for the next time is always helpful, in my opinion.
Do you guys think we'll get to a space where we can actually stop informing people?
I would
Like
hope so.
I think I don't think so, because I mean, every time a carpenter comes to my house, I don't know what he does. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what a plumber does. I think every profession you have to, in some degree, educate people about how you work and what you need, and what.
I think based on like how popular the profession is, at least you can call around and ask like rates. I don't feel like there's a lot of people who know many artists.
Yeah.
To be like, oh yeah, this is the general rate that I'm getting from people.
Yeah.
Which is why communities like this are important, because then all of us are on the same mindset of, yo, this is like a base price, don't charge less than this. If a client comes to you, and if there's like 100 people in here and all of them know, hey, yo, don't charge less than this, a client can reach out to any one of those people in Jamaica and just be like, how much is this? And they go, X amount. And it's like, wow, I really can't get it cheaper anywhere else, or I can't take advantage of these people. So you hope that at some point in time you can educate a little less. You can just tell them the price. If they don't accept it, then they just leave and try to find somebody else.
I feel as if every
With
time.
artists.
Oh, continue.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, no.
Oh, I was going to say, every time I feel as if I'm educating someone, it's about like how I feel as if I should be paid, and it's kind of annoying because I'll use the plumber as an example, right? When a plumber comes to your house, you don't have to explain to them, or you don't have to ask, oh, can you get that? Can you do the work and then have it at a cheaper price, right? Like that plumber has bills to pay or things to do,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So that's my education that I wish I didn't have to talk to people about.
Yeah.
That's a bit frustrating. Okay.
A
Yeah.
couple of years back, I actually stopped explaining myself to people because I used to do it a lot. I realized it doesn't help.
Yeah, I don't explain
It also
myself.
makes it sound like you're begging for the money or the job. I generally avoid it. Instead, it's education in the sense that this is what you need to expect. This is how much you're going to have to pay if you work with me.
Exactly.
Or if you work with somebody else, here's how many team members need to be on or I mean,
Right.
how
I
many
don't think
assets
we
you're
need
going
to
to need.
ever.
It's more of a, I'm
explain
telling you,
why we
I'm not
charge.
asking you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't take like an apologetic tone of voice when
No.
I'm
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, animation is expensive, and when I work, and when I do the math, animation is expensive, and when I do the math, I hurt my own feelings with how expensive it is because it's mad expensive. But like once I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
this thing is actually $800,000. Okay, and then I go tell the clients, and that's just it. Sorry to you. I can't really help that. Like this is what I'm valued at.
I find pitching solutions to them is better than just, hey, yo, well, that's it. If clients ask for a discount, it's not a flat no for me. It's, you can't get
Yeah,
a
it
discount.
depends.
But
No, I don't like give
we
a
can work
dry
with a payment
answer.
plan.
I just
or
don't
let's break it down
apologize
into
for
smaller
it.
costs. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But explaining yourself I don't find it helpful.
Sir. I'm thinking about saying to a client, join our December raffle for a discount on your project today.
That's a smart idea, People, if you have enough clients, that might work.
Woo!
we should write that down for Dreamdust. Okay, speaking of, guys, when we were in the meeting discussing this panel talk, we wrote down a series of questions, and there are 2 questions on this list. I'm pretty sure we wrote them down in passion, and I have no idea now how they feed back into this
Are you talking about the
this
last one?
conversation. No, the 2 of them. Do we humble ourselves and forget our higher purpose? Regarding our loyalty to Jamaican development, aka
Does this
brain
fit
drain.
in with the collaboration?
Yes.
Is that proclamation?
Yes, that
You
was
sure?
I'm sure we were in like a passionate fit. We were like, yeah, we should say this, but I don't remember what the conversation thread was. But I'm still asking it. Do we think do we think we forget our higher purpose?
What
Like,
is
what
the
is-
make
higher
our-
purpose?
I don't know. I think we might have been talking about like if we make ourselves smaller to fit into this environment that we're in.
Mm.
And do we use collaboration as like a way to make ourselves smaller? Not to say that we're bigger or we're better than anybody here, but like we have something to do. We have like I'm just
I
assuming.
wouldn't
that
say anybody here. I'd more say the vision that corporate has for what they want is pretty low standard. Personally, that's my opinion. Most of the time they approach you, it's a bad idea. Anything that they ask you to do is like, did you even get a writer? Like, do you have a creative team that's coming up with this? And what you're asking me to do, it sucks. It's terrible. It's awful. Don't do this. Let me help you. And I would like to, but those are projects I generally just reject. It's like, this is not interesting. I don't want to do it. Or unless you're going to pay me extra to help you develop the idea a little bit more, because that's not really what I do, but I can. So I guess in a sense, if that's the humbling myself or making myself smaller, yeah, I'm not. Jamaica's standard is too low for the amount of talent that we have here. Like,
But is it
and
too
that's
low
the
for
thing.
skill though? Because we
No,
have
well,
to
that's-
admit,
it leads
that
back
we're
to-
not like we don't have like a bunch of skilled people. Like we have skilled people, but not like a whole lot yet. Like it's happening, but it's not.
Well, it leads back to like valuing the industry and how much they're willing to pay, because that's the thing. If most of your ideas are crap and you go to somebody who's a professional and knows that, hey, yo, this can be a lot better, but you're gonna have to pay more. And they say, no, we're not willing to pay that amount. Then you pay for what you get. And so they go to somebody who executes the idea. So then what everybody ends up seeing as like, oh, this is what Jamaica is capable of producing, ends up just being, this is what Jamaica is willing to pay for. That's
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anybody else?
But it's too bad it's not translated that way, as
Yeah.
this is what Jamaicans are going to be. It's just translated that this is the standard. And I think I don't subscribe to humbling self because of opportunities, because all that mediocrity breeds more mediocrity. We can't say that we want a standard and then we say, okay, no, but in order to make a little 20 grand, I'm going to drop my standards like to the
And the thing
floor.
is, like, who has ever made a impact or a splash just doing the bare minimum and standard? Like, at the end of the day, who is it that is? What is it that you want to do? Is it that you want to stay within this, like you said, this box and know a higher power? It just find where you are. Find where you are appreciated. I think that's one thing I always tell people is like always just produce art that you want people to see from you. Like don't lower your standards just because you think people like this or want this. Like what do you want to do? And at the end of the day, when you do something great, it's the same people that were turning your ideas down and wanting to not pay for it that come back to you. Like, wait, how did you ever get to do this? Because people who actually listened to me actually wanted to pay me what I was worth and you didn't, and then they're amazed. They're like, oh well, I asked you to do this and you did this for me. How come you did this for them? I'm like, you paid me a third of what they paid me. You paid for what you get, and like at the end of the day, it's not. That's why I haven't worked for people about Jamaican clients in years. I think because I don't think it's worth knowing.
I get it.
Standards
Like,
for certain people, like in that sense.
sometimes you might have to humble yourself if you have rent due, like a bill to pay.
Yeah, of course.
Then sure, take the project that sounds terrible and take a little.
It's not worth it.
But it's never worth it in my opinion.
No, what they,
I
no, I read some like artist resource somewhere about like how I think it might actually have been your collaborator, Coca, might like if you're going to be taking lower money for your work, lower the work that you're doing, like drop,
Yeah, absolutely.
like
Yeah,
drop the
that's what I'm
label.
saying. Like if you pay me $200, you get $200 worth. Or if you pay $20, you get $220 worth of work. Like
It's very
I am not willing. I cannot do $20 worth of work. Like my body and I physically cannot let myself lower my standards of work to a certain degree. That would just not take the work at the end of the day. Just like
and have my name
if
attached
someone-
to it.
Yeah, and I can have my name attached to it, and so like I cannot do something that is below. But I just don't take it.
And it's like when you're collaborating like on your friends' projects too, it's not like you'll be half-assing that either. Like when you're working on your friends' stuff or some other collaborator stuff, you're bringing
That's a different value.
the full bearing of like your knowledge and your skill, right? Like you know how
Actually, I find that I might actually put more effort into my friends' projects than
it's easier.
than
Like when you're
Because,
Sometimes
yeah.
I do that too. Yeah.
when you're working with
It's just like, yo,
clients, you
this
have
is-
to when you're working with clients, you have to like be mindful of what they're paying you. Like
yeah.
be mindful of like the worth of the work that you're giving them. Like if they're giving you like a $500 work, you have to do $500 labor. But like when you're on your friends' projects, you're like, oh, give me a sun smiling. You can just do a nice cute sun, and you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about if it's too good, well not too good, but too labor intensive for like what you're maybe getting paid. So it's easier to just be your best self. It's
Yeah.
actually easier rather than like
Exactly.
twisting up yourself. Like, oh, how do I fit into this small box
So where
of
do I
$500?
stop? Like when, because I mean, with clients, unlike friends, like friends are less likely. They're more understanding, like, or hopefully they will be. So when they're asking you for help, they'll know. All right, I'm asking too much of you at this point in time. Versus a client, they paid you, and some people's mindset is just, I paid you, work. And so they don't have a cutoff time on things like corrections and whatever. So if you don't set one for them, it's just like you have to create a cutoff point for yourself to be able to stop yourself from working. So I end up experimenting more or pushing projects more for my friends than I would with a regular client, just because it's my friend, and I at least, yeah, as much as I'm terrible at asking for help, I know if I ever needed the help, this person's also going to be willing to put in the effort for me as well. And so that's how it feels. It's like I'm not expecting that from my client. I don't feel like I can reach back out to you at some point. So I'm like, hey, yo, I need your help. Can you give me a discount on your services?
Exactly.
Like, that's not gonna happen.
Have you guys ever
Also,
tried?
that's why I hate when clients painful, because I would have a meeting where I go through the process and I said, this is what I look over your files and I say, for this amount, this is what you're going to get. The minute I start to get pushback of, oh, can we squeeze a little more? I find it easier nowadays to jump into, I think this is going outside of my capabilities. I am more than willing to refund the money. And hope you can find somebody to get it done. And that usually brings them down, because I keep saying this extra that you're asking, this is the work that is going to require me to do that. It's going to take X amount of time. If you can't pay me that extra, then I am not the artist for you. We spoke about it. We agreed to. I have the note. No, this is what we agreed to get done. And though you're asking for more, but you don't want to pay for more, so I am willing to pause production. You're not getting my files. Pause in production and refund you your money in full, and call it a good day. And that
It
usually
sounds like everybody's
kind
on the
of takes
same
them a
page.
bit. Yes, and
Doesn't
that
sound like
usually
any
kind
of us
takes-
humble ourselves.
No, I mean, no. Listen, I've been bamboozled and robbed before. Okay, I've done logos for startup companies. There is a particular party or fete that happens when I was in first day. One of the organizers asked me to do characters and said, "Oh, I'm getting paid," and I was just starting out. And you know what I saw?
I know who
saw
you're talking
characters.
about.
I saw characters like whole standees, and I'm like, I've never heard. And
No, agree too.
I think all I got paid for that was like $7,000.
Yeah.
And from that, like, it's bittersweet, because I think seeing my work in the space and seeing how people interact with it, I'm like, say I'm worth something, and me not do this ever again. So yeah, growing pains.
Yeah.
Have you
I've had that
ever?
happen.
Have you
before.
ever tried like collaborating up? Like
I'm afraid to.
Yeah, like, why would I do that?
But what does
Because
that mean though? What are you guys thinking when you mean collaborating up?
Well, collaborating up to me is just like I would like to work with this person, but I just think so highly of their work that I don't feel like I can have anything to offer in terms of value of saving them time on something. Like, say for instance, just pick your favorite artist that you love their work, you'd love to work with them as well. They seem like a decent person, but also they're so good, and if they do the same thing as you, it's just like what value do you offer that type of person?
I wasn't thinking that. I'm actually like a pretty strong believer in collaborating laterally, like the people like you already know, and people who are like your peers. I believe in collaborating with them, and then all of you grow all at once. When I was talking about collaborating up, is like I know you don't have much control over it, but like trying to progress like your client list, or like your range of trying to like progress your client list, or like maybe expand your area of not influence, but like getting more people to know you. You don't really have any control over that, right? You don't know who your clients know and whatever. But have you tried? Have you like thought about it? Say, okay, I'm going to approach this company with a pitch, and this isn't really. Maybe this isn't collaboration, or maybe it could be.
Sounds
But,
like an internship in a way.
not really.
Yeah.
And because I know somebody who did like a whole creative project for a company, and they weren't asking for it, but it was good. and they
Yeah.
eventually took it, executed it, and paid him. Like eventually, it took forever for him to get paid, but he did it. He got paid, and I'm wondering if like if we just like thought of have we thought of like approaching potential clients like that in order for us to like expand the field of like opportunities for ourselves. I guess that wouldn't be collaboration. I would be like, here, I have a cool idea. Would you like to pay me for
Yeah,
it?
it's like a pitch.
Yeah,
if
like a
anything,
pitch.
to get more work.
Collaboration, though.
It is technically a collaboration because there's no guaranteed um, monetary value attached to it. It's like I'm not going to get paid for this necessarily. I could, or if you want to use it, then you should pay me to have the rights to it. But I guess you could classify it as collaboration. I would consider doing things like that, but I don't know. I didn't relate that to collaborating up so much because when I look at companies are just companies.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I wouldn't consider collaboration. It feels more like getting your foot in the freelance window, like upping your clientele. That's what it feels like. It feels like more of a marketing tactic. Unless it was a case where you and your friends coming together to collaborate on an idea to pitch the corporate. Well then, yeah. But as Nathaniel said, big companies and collaboration, the collaboration usually come once you have some clout. Like,
unless it's like influencers, where
Yeah.
like maybe if you could collaborate with an influencer, and so that's kind of like expanding your reach. They're not necessarily paying you. They're not a large company, but then again, depending on the level of the influencer, them get enough money too. So it's weird. I don't know. I don't know if I would classify it as collaboration.
I think we
versus
should
marketing,
because
as Joel
there's.
said.
I think we should because there's like a big part of collaboration that's about economic gain, like wealth or whatever. I think we should. Like even if there is I think what's missing from that scenario is the equality. Like you wouldn't be approaching them on their level, basically, in their
Well,
eyes, I guess.
Based
Like
on my definition at the beginning, where I was saying what I understand collaboration to be is the idea of working with a team. Like me approaching a company or an individual and saying, hey, I want to do this thing for you and then you can use it after. It doesn't feel like I'm working with them. It feels like I'm doing something on my own and then I'm just offering the product to them after. To use. So yeah, it's a collaboration in that sense where you take it and then you showcase it or advertise it after. But for me, the act itself doesn't feel like a collaboration because I'm just still doing what I want to do on my own. And if you use it or you don't, then I've still just done work by myself,
I feel as if a collaboration can sustain all of this. Feels like it can become like a mentee and a mentor situation if you're collaborating up, right? Like if Janelle is working on an animation, right? I want to learn animation. She's asking for help, and let's say she's doing it into like a public space, right? Then I would offer my help as of course I want to help, but like I also want to learn. So like I'm almost taking something as I'm looking at you as a mentor in a way.
Yeah.
But it's like a collaboration. Also, this is what I've been wanting to mention. If you're going into a collaboration, I feel as if you need to look into sometimes what you may be getting out of it, right? It may be the satisfaction of seeing your friend succeed, right? That's why a lot of times we put a lot of our energy into producing good work for our friends. Or it could be like, I'm learning. Did we mention that? Like the whole learning
Not really, no.
aspect?
Kind
Like
of.
you're learning.
We kind of did.
It was mentioned,
Yeah, we
but,
did.
but what you said about mutual benefit, I don't think was brought up earlier. And that is true. Like, I do think if you're going to collaborate with somebody or help anybody, there should be some mutual benefit. And that's for you to decide what it is, because if there's no money involved, then, what are you gaining from this thing? And you should expect that anybody you're asking to help should probably feel the same. Like, what can they gain out of helping you with this project? in certain cases, like say Jenny approaches me and say, "Hey, you want to do the special effects for this thing?" At least I know my gain from that, besides helping her make her thing look good, is I can put this in my portfolio when I'm done. So that's a benefit. I don't have to stop and think about the idea. You've given me the idea, I execute it, and then I have portfolio work. So there is some mutual gain.
there is there is something that we've been experiencing in the Dreamdust community this year, which isn't like brand new or anything, but it's kind of new for us, which is like collaborative learning. Basically, a classroom. Like when you go to school, the teacher is there, and you have the classmates, and y'all are learning the lesson. But here, what's been happening is that somebody volunteers to teach a class that they're very good on, and then all their peers are in the class, and they all help each other learn, and we bully each other into like doing, like finishing projects, doing projects, posting it, letting getting critique, like everybody everybody has been really involved in each other's learning, and pushing us forward together as a community.
Yeah.
And that's one way to collaborate up, I guess. Like
Yeah, I think.
you're gaining knowledge, experience, skill, and you're making friends. So like it's a pretty solid network that you're gaining from that experience, which is pretty cool. And that's why you should be hanging out with us on Dreamdust Discord. Plug. I have one more question. The second question, I don't really know where we came up with this, but I'm still going to ask. Give me a moment. Shut up and draw. Shut up and draw. Stop avoiding the issue and rely on your teammates' advice and assistance. Where did we come up with that? Like how?
Remember?
You remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just, I don't think I remember what it was. It was also something passionate, pertaining to the Dreamdust. So, anyways, I don't know. Can we cut that part?
Well,
Because I was a little too passionate.
I do think it probably had something to do with trusting your teammates to actually do their job done, which we mentioned earlier about the whole micromanaging thing. But also, the way I look at it is kind of like, if you're not getting the help, just kind of don't wait. Don't stop and wait for the collaboration if it's not happening. So still do your project, and then maybe somebody will reach up to offer help or something. So that's what I'm interpreting from
I
that
remember,
statement.
no, now I remember it, right? It's, so, okay, the base of the conversation was that if I give someone a drawing and they correct it for me, right? And rather than taking that correction and using it, because they basically offered their time to give me their feedback, I take it and still do something on my own. I don't use necessarily what they said,
Yeah.
right? I'm just using it because I'm trying to be independent. I remember that was the base of it in a way. So like of this topic. So like if somebody offers you help and they're genuinely helping you for the best, you don't just take it and like throw away what they just
Yeah.
gave it. You take it and you almost eternalize it in a way, right? And you use it to help propel you further, push you further, right, into learning, not like rejecting what you're learning, almost kind of thing, something like that.
Accepting critique, essentially. Which actually goes back to the issues that I was telling you about with one of my stories, where I just didn't see the person actually take the advice or the help that was given to them and use it. It felt pointless. It was like, what was the point of asking us to help you and then you just didn't use the all the work. Like we've wasted our time because nothing came of it.
I,
Yeah.
I really don't know how. Stop avoiding the issue and rely on your team. What issue were we talking about? Anyway, I guess that's the end of it. Uh, really abrupt ending. But thank you guys for spending your time. This talk was only supposed to be like 45 minutes to an hour long, and we're here still. So thank
Yeah,
you
I would like that.
very much. Do you guys have
Yeah.
any final words uh, that you'd like to say to the imaginary audience?
Yes, Dreamdust is a good place to find people who you want to collaborate with. So, there's a lot of like-minded people inside the Discord and the community, and you can get to know them to see if they match your vision and learn to trust them and see their skill levels. And yeah, good place. Join the Discord.
Anything else? All right, that's it. All right. Thank you guys. Bye.
Thank you for having
Thanks, CoCab, for coming.
Thank you, Cool Cat, for coming. Yeah.
me.